Hello and welcome back to Firestorm Games, where you're joining us for another episode of the Hobby Table, where we take a look at some of Games Workshop's latest releases. Now this time, we're looking inside the Tooth and Claw box set. Now this is a new two-player starter box set, which has come from Games Workshop, which features Primus Space Wolves facing off against Genestealer Cults. Now this contains some new miniatures, and the contents of this box is quite expansive, and that includes, you get a Space Wolf Primus Battle Leader, 5 Intercessors, 4 Aggressors, a Space Wolf Upgrade Sprue, and also a Redemptor Dreadnought. For the Genestealer Cults, you get a Acolyte Icon Ward, a Genestealer Cult Abominant, you get 5 Aberrants and 5 Genestealer Cult Hybrid Metamorphs, and finally 8 Genestealers. So this is actually a great way to start an army, be it Space Wolves or Genestealer Cults. So what we're going to do in this video is opening the box up, taking a look at the contents, before building some of those new miniatures, and discussing what we think of them as we go along. So let's get started and open this box up. Upon opening the box set, one of the things you'll notice is this huge wad of instruction booklets. Now I'm not going to go through all of them now, but it's your pretty much standard instruction booklet fare. You have all of those components numbered and color-coded so you can easily assemble them. Following that, we have a handy fold-out core rules summary for Warhammer 40k, which is great because if you already own the main rulebook, it's a nice little extra reference point that you can keep on the table handy, just to kind of follow through the turn structure and things like that. Otherwise, if you're new to the game, it gives you some rules and some idea as to how to play the scenarios detailed in this box set. Now the next thing that we have in the set is the Tooth and Claw booklet. Now this contains a lot of background about why these two armies are fighting and where they're fighting as well. Now the whole kind of scenarios take place on the planet Vigilus, which if you've played Kill Team and read through the rulebook and the background in there, you will recognise the planet, that's the Genestealer Cults and the Scutari are facing off against. There's also a lot of other kill teams operating on that planet, so all these forces are clashing in a single location. So we get some background about the Warzone Vigilus, we get some background about the Genestealer Cult's operations there, the Abominants, the Aberrants, all those different units that we find in here, before we come to the rules listings themselves. The first set of rules we have are for the Primus Space Wolves, and the first unit that you'll see in there is the Primus Battle Leader. Now this is basically the Space Wolf equivalent of the Primus Lieutenants. They have the same stat lines, they have the same war gear options, but this Primus Battle Leader has access to a Power Axe, which is a very symbolic weapon of the Space Wolves. Now the other units that we have in here are pretty much the same, the Intercessors are the same, the Aggressors are the same, and so is the Redemptor Dreadnought. We get some photography of the new units before moving on to the Genestealer Cult rules. Now again, these are all existing rules we have, except from the new Abominant that we have in here, and also the Aberrants as well. The actual Genestealers and the Metamorphs are all the same, so nothing really new there. Following that, we have some of the faction special rules for Genestealer Cults and some more photography. Then we move on to the scenarios. Now all of these scenarios are based around the contents of the box set. You don't need anything else to play them, maybe just some scenery that you can knock together just to make the games a little bit more interesting. Now these kind of have an escalation theme, so the first scenario doesn't have many miniatures. In fact, it consists of a single unit of Intercessors and also 2 Pure Strain Genestealers and the Hybrid Metamorph, so fairly low model count to begin with, and it starts to ramp up as it goes along, introducing different units and different rules as you progress, before finally you reach scenario 4, where all of the units found in this box set face off against each other. The final page in this booklet is a points value so that you can use any of these miniatures in matched play games. So next up we have the miniatures. Now there is a whole range of miniatures in here. We're not going to be looking at all of them because we've actually already covered a lot of them in previous videos, such as the Aggressors, the Redemptor Dreadnought, and also the Hybrid Metamorphs. We're going to be focusing solely on those new miniatures, those new Aberrants, the Abominants, and also the Primus Battle Leader. So let's get started and begin assembling them. The first miniature that we're going to be assembling is one of the new Aberrants. Now we've already seen one of these guys in the Deathwatch Overkill box set, but this time we've actually got a multi-part kit of them. Now as before, they are these hulking giant Genestealer mutants. They have the typical 3 arms, they have 2 arms on the right hand side, and they still have that segmented armor paneling that we see on some of the Hybrid Metamorphs and also the Pure Strain Genestealers. Now these guys are much bigger than the other Genestealer Cult members. They have these large hunched shoulders, and they're also carrying much more brutal looking weaponry. For example, they're equipped with pickaxes or double-handed sledgehammers. Basically, these guys aren't very bright, so giving them guns isn't a good idea, so they give them the heaviest weapons around so they can put that mass and that muscle to good use. The feral nature of these miniatures is also emphasised by the heads that we have inside this kit. They have these large tongues which are flopping out, they have a snarled expression on their face as well, and some of them are even just like carrying rocks just to smash in the heads of their opponents. In this set, you also get enough components to assemble what is known as an aberrant hypermorph. Now this guy has this bony segmented tail topped with a large fearsome looking blade that he can use in close combat, and he also has the choice of being equipped with a power hammer or a large improvised weapon. In this case, it's basically a street sign that he's pulled out of the ground and has a large chunk of concrete and rebar that he's going to be using to smash into his opponent's faces. The options for this kit are limited. You can choose between a single-handed power pick or a two-handed power hammer instead. You also get a choice of different head options that you can choose from, but apart from that, there isn't really any extras or any additional poses for the legs or torsos. So with the aberrants looked at, let's move on to the abominant. Next up, we have the Abominant, who's basically the leader of the Aberrants. This guy is handpicked and chosen by the Patriarch and bestowed some additional mutations and gifts, making him stronger and also able to heal a lot faster as well. Now, this guy leads his fellow Aberrants into battle, and they kind of see him as almost like a saint chosen by their god. In keeping with his leader-like status, the Abominant is slightly larger than the rest of the Aberrants, but it does look the same. Mostly you have those hunched shoulders, you have those large arms, and also the 3 arms in there as well. And this guy is also accompanied by a Mindworm Familiar, who basically sits just to the right of him and slightly behind, being protected by this Hulk's massive frame. Now overall, I really like the look of the Abominant and also the Aberrants. They have these nice little details like the shackles and the chains, which are obviously used by the rest of the Genestealer cult to keep these guys under control. But there are also some hints of some of the other Genestealer miniatures that they can tie into as well. You have the things like the segmented armor paneling on the legs and also around the waist as well, which kind of throws back to the more human-like Genestealer cult units. So with the new Genestealer cult miniatures looked at, let's take a look at the Primaris Battle Leader for the Space Wolves. The Battle Leader is equipped with the typical Primaris Mark X armor, which basically signifies him as being a Primaris straight away, but there are some adornments which specify him as being a Space Wolf. These include things like the wolf pelt that's hanging from the waist and also from the back of the power pack as well. But we also have these extra details such as the gems which are encrusted into the armor and also the blade as well. This set also comes with a couple of head options. One of them is helmeted and has a wolf plume on top of it, whereas the other one is a bear head which features the typical Space Wolf braid and also the facial hair. So overall, this is a miniature which will fit really nicely into any Space Wolf force, be it a brand new Primaris one, or if you're just going for some Primaris detachments in a regular Space Marine army. So with the new miniatures in this box set looked at, let's get an overall summary for Tooth and Claw. Now, one of the biggest draws of Tooth and Claw as a box set is its value for money. Now, I've added up the value of everything inside this box set. I've had to speculate for some things like the Abominant and also the Aberrants, but we're looking at over £200 worth of miniatures in this box set. With an RRP of £90, that means you're getting more than double your value for money. If you have a friend who collects one half of the box set, if you split it with them, you're paying around £45 or even less for a good chunk of an army. That value is further emphasised by the fact that everything in here is the multi-part version. The Redemptor Dreadnoughts, the Intercessors, the Aggressors and also the Hybrid Metamorphs are all multi-part kits, not the push-fit or easy build versions that we've seen in the past. In addition to the excellent value for money that this box set offers, you also get a few miniatures which are currently exclusive to this box set. These include the Aberrants, the Abominant, and also the Primaris Battle Leader miniature. So if you collect Genestealer Cult or Space Wolves, you're definitely going to want to pick up this set. Now, I've already mentioned the RRP is £90, but this box set is available for even less than that, meaning you get an even greater saving on the contents of the box. You can pick it up on the Firestorm Games webstore for 10% off the RRP at £81, and I'll include a link in the description below which will take you directly to its webpage. If you enjoyed this video, do let us know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to be kept up to date with all of our latest videos. And so we just want to say a big thank you for watching this video, and we hope to see you again on Firestorm Games.